Thank you so much for being here. We are so excited to be here and to do the show tonight. I am so glad. We have an amazing show. On tonight's show, you and our panel of comedians are going to learn all about the science of behavioral economics. We'll also find out what our behavioral economist is like when she is not researching our brains. And this is, as was mentioned earlier, an interactive show. So if you are watching online on the live stream, we want you to be involved. We want to hear your jokes and your questions. We want you to play these games right along with us. Comment, ask questions, put your thoughts in the chat, and we will do our best to address as many as we can. And for those of you here in person, thank you so much for being here. We've got a microphone on either side of the stage, and we will do our best to get to you multiple times. I'll tell you when to come up to ask questions or to share something. So stay on your toes. Okay, let's get into it. We have an incredible trio of comedians who are going to be playing today. We've got Lauren Lapkus, Zach Oyama, and Paul F. Tompkins. Please give them a big round of applause. All right. And let's find out who today's expert is. So I could tell you all about her, but rather than that, let's have her tell you about herself. Here's a video.
Behavioral economists are interested in how people really behave, as opposed to the bizarre ideas that what we call neoclassical economists put forth, which is what we all learned in like Econ 101, of these really strange ideas about how people interact with each other, that they're perfectly rational and that they make the greatest decisions, all the time, and that they can see forward and backward into time and know exactly how much they need for retirement, and they adhere to all of that. They have no biases, etc., things like that. So looking at the world the way it really is, and seeing, what are the things that manifest, whether that be in healthcare, what's actually going on in the healthcare context, what's actually going on in behavior, like if you put somebody on the spot, are they really going to give more in donations or not? So how do people really behave, I think, is, the thread that I guess would tie it together. Hi, my name is Alison Sanchez. I'm an associate professor of economics and business analytics at the Canal School of Business at University of San Diego. I am a behavioral economist, and I study everything from health economics to artificial intelligence to why people are so darn selfish.
All right, Allison, come on out. Thanks so much for being here and letting us talk to you about your work.
Thanks for having me.
So panelists, you're going to get a chance to talk a lot to Allison over the course of the show, but this is your first opportunity to ask a behavioral economist about her work. So in this segment, you do what? What would you like to know? Lauren, Paul, if you have something.
I just want to get this out of the way. Is the woman in the hospital okay?
No way to know. That was wow. That woman, as soon as the stock footage was filmed,
what
she
you
passed
know?
away.
Yeah, for later.
What a cliffhanger.
Do your students ever come to you in class with like personal problems that they want you to help them figure out? Like when you said at the end, why are people so darn selfish? I was like, yeah, why? And then I was thinking of people and things, and I was like, family problems, whatever. It's like, do people come to you with that stuff?
Yes, all the time.
Wow.
Would
Do
you
you
care
help
to elaborate?
I'm not sure if I'm helpful. No, I think people want to understand a lot more about why they do the things that they do. So behavioral economics is a class that is popular with the undergraduate students because they want to know why it is that they see certain things happening in the world around them. They really do want to understand.
What's something that the students kind of like always get really excited when you start addressing, because it's in their heads?
Psychology.
Okay.
They want to know more. I think especially in a business school setting, they want to understand what makes people tick because they want to essentially extract money from them.
Okay.
I want to extract money
Extract money from them.
I love that motive.
Zach, what is the first thing that you want to ask Allison?
I guess I'm just kind of thinking about my own experience. So how many people in your classes would you say seem worried about how they how susceptible they are to advertising and all those kind of things? Or like,
Oh, yeah.
Worryingly for me, they're not worried at all.
Okay.
Do they love how they get served ads? Like, what are kids up to?
I think it's really convenient. Once we get into it, they start to think it's kind of creepy that companies are taking advantage of this and using it for their general knowledge to extract money out of consumers, and then they start to be a little worried about it at the end of the course.
We're also kind of already explaining behavioral economics as though it's like only pushing into like getting money out of people, but you do a lot that's also about like addressing disparities in healthcare and that sort of thing.
Yeah, so I mean, one of the main things the reason that I wanted to go to graduate school in the first place was to study altruism. So how can we get people to be nicer to one another? I think it's a big question.
That's so nice. That you want to do that.
Paul?
Has your study of this field made you more or less empathetic towards people and their buying habits?
That's a good question. I think more empathetic. I think as we start to study consumers, and especially, I mean, I'm talking about it in a consumer context, but it's in any context that people interact with one another, either strategically in the job market, comedians competing for a job.
You said that as though you know something we don't.
We're all up for something. It's your job.
At the end of tonight, I will be fine. That I'm certain is true.
Right, I think that's something that, as we learn more about human beings, you become more empathetic about, everybody's human.
Someone on the live stream who I assume is one of your students is asking,
gosh.
do you have a favorite student?
Is it DePauli? No.
Okay. We'll have to wait to see if the live stream answers whether it was DePauli or not. Well, Alison, one of the things that I think is so interesting about the science that you do is that it's really directly related to experiences that everyone in here has regularly. For example, the experience of impulse buying something that you don't really need. And this one, for me, gets me all the time. Like, every time I have the obvious ones, I know that I should avoid. Like, if I get to the front of the grocery store, I know there's candy and magazines there, and I'm like, not today, you're not gonna get me. But then when I go to Costco, every single time I end up being like, that is such a good deal on pepper. And then I buy a giant thing of black pepper, and then I come home and I have another giant thing of black pepper. And like, this is not a hypothetical, this is a specific thing that's happening.
It's a well-known phenomenon. We call it the Costco effect.
Wait, is that, you're joking?
I'm joking.
Oh, okay.
I went to Costco for the first time the other day, and I was so disgusted by everything that was happening. I thought I really wanted to go, and I was like, I think I'm gonna love it there. And like, I had my friend take me, and I was like, I'm gonna be a bulk shopper. And then like, the cart was like so big, nothing was organized. It was like every aisle you had to just go see. It's like it's everything. I was just like, this is madness. I got a huge ass chicken. I spent $400. Like, it was, I had a good time. It was just not for me. I think. Yeah.
That has to be the Costco effect. Some version of that.
When you walk away with a giant can of tuna.
Yeah.
So you know something's gone wrong in the process.
But the
I
way
got like 100 razors. I was like, I'll eat it forever. I don't know.
Well, it does seem like tell me, I really am not sure that I understand what behavioral economics is, but it seems like the way that they're set up, like the aisles and the fact that you kind of feel like, I'm a member, I work here, kind of, like, I have to put
They
things
do
back.
make you feel like you work there.
That's,
You're like, I can help you, my name's Chris.
right? But like, that is like behavioral economics in action, or am I completely off base?
No, it's true. It's true. So the way that behavioral economics evolved was a reaction to the traditional economics theory, which says that when you go into a store, whether you're hungry or not, or you're hangry or whatever it is, you're going in, you're not going to be affected by the cool marketing that they have. So that all the cool stuff at the end of the checkout aisle, the beginning of the checkout aisle, all the Snickers, you wouldn't be affected by that in traditional theory. But behavioral economists came and said they actually got data by watching people do things in real life and in the lab, and they decided that actually that's not the way people work. People are affected by different emotional cues, different things at the different states that they're in, and they're affected by marketing.
Okay, well, perfectly segues us into our first segment here, which is, panelists, I'm going to ask you to share your most recent impulse buy, and then Alison, using your skills of behavioral economics, if you can explain how they might have been manipulated into purchasing this.
Oh,
So,
cool.
This is called Anything You Want, You Got It. Okay.
By the way, this was not explained to us in that way. This was a total setup.
It was a friendly email that said, hey,
Yeah.
what's the last thing you
This
bought?
was
That
phrased
fun.
like it was a fun thing to talk about, not a gotcha.
Perfect experimental economic setup.
Yes. So Lauren, start with you. What was the last thing that you impulse purchased?
I bought a 40-ounce Stanley cup with matching straw toppers.
Okay. We have, and now I do think when you said Stanley Cup, people were imagining the hockey
Absolutely! I got so excited!
And honestly, I've been talking about this cup for a month. But I didn't let myself buy it, but then I did get it, and then I keep talking about the Stanley Cup, and I'm like, it's so annoying. It's called the Stanley Cup. I hate that. I don't know anything about hockey. I don't care. I bought these things that go on top of the straw to close it, and this one really pissed me off. See, the one that looks like a Stanley Cup?
Yes.
Wow.
That really bothered me. I saw this online like a month ago.
It's very meta.
I mean,
Very.
can I explain it all how I ended up purchasing
Absolutely.
this?
I would love to hear it.
Okay, so I follow this podcast called G Things Just Bought It, and this woman aggregates things and has an Instagram. I mainly follow the Instagram. And she's obsessed with the Stanley Cup and was pushing it, and there was always some sort of thing about it. And then there was like, no, now it's not the Stanley Cup, it's this cup. And like they were really pushing this other cup, and I almost bought that one. And then I was like, but I feel like the Stanley's the OG cup that everyone did want. Why is it so good? And she was posting it and had that little thing on top that looked like the cup, and I was like, I fucking hate that. It's like a crock on a crock. Like I hate that. It's so basic. And then time passed, and I was like, I really need that cup. And then I was like, I'm really sick of my big mouth like bottle I drink out of that has a huge screw top. I really want to drink out of a straw. And I bought it, and honestly, I fucking love the cup.
Yep.
It's great. It's a great cup. It's really huge. It's in my car right now. It'll be ice cold when I get out there. I don't know.
Okay,
Well,
so
it sounds actually like this might be a sensible purchase for you.
this was less of like a rational purchase and not an
It
impulse.
still felt crazy because I have like 20 water bottles.
Okay, so now we're verging into irrational territory.
I definitely didn't need those things.
I have to say, it does bother me that the little cup doesn't also have the little cup thing. Like, I think it should keep going.
It has to go to
forever.
infinity.
Yeah.
It has to go to infinity.
Forever.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
No, it really
You should be able to get a microscope out
Yeah.
and see the tiniest one.
Yeah.
Well, and I was bragging about my cup to my friend, and then she's like, I have that same cup on my bedside, and then I sent her those in the mail, and I'm really excited for her to get them. So we'll see how that goes over.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, this is exciting.
Yeah.
To delve into the psychology of
Okay.
what's happening here. So I think you have 20 cups.
Yeah, for
So-
sure.
You're a murderer.
This was a gotcha.
I was going to save that for after the show. You're failing to see into the future where you already have lots of things that you can utilize, right? You've already spent money
Yeah.
into, those are all sunk costs for you.
Yeah.
And you're failing to, realize
You keep
that
using the word
in
failing, and I feel like that is a harsh word.
No, I am failing because this was like $40 and those were like $8. It's like that's way too much money for what is happening.
Not 8 each.
No.
Okay.
I would never do that.
That's good. So, I mean, the price is working for you
Yeah.
in that it's acting as a barrier to you spending all of your money
Yeah.
on ridiculous items.
Okay, that would be an incredible. Imagine like that news story where they're like, Lauren Lapkus lost all of her money on cups.
With the resale value. Yeah, no, I love my Stanley Cup, and I don't care that you said I was a failure. It's fine.
Zach, let's find out, what was your most recent impulse purchase?
I messed up. I got one of those Apple monitors.
Okay.
So it's like how you have a computer like this one right here.
Yes.
And then you think, maybe I'll be more productive if I have
Yeah.
a monitor instead of the computer.
Oh my
Now,
god, I
I-
agree with that.
Yeah.
I do feel like the graphic that we pulled up for the monitor makes it look like you bought an expensive art program rather than the monitor
It
itself.
does.
No, it's just truly a display. It's just
Okay.
truly the same thing that's on the back of the laptop.
So you're like on Instagram, but it's bigger.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I'm like locked in, scrolling.
But your
seeing
friends are
everyone I
so
know.
happy for you.
And the retina display, it's so sharp. I really thought it would make me do a lot more work.
Okay.
We're not really there.
I see what's happening. I see what's happening here. So you've recognized your own irrationality.
Yeah.
And what you've purchased for yourself is a commitment device to work. But the problem with commitment devices is that you eventually need a commitment device for your commitment device.
Okay, tell me
Because
about that.
if you're procrastinating, if you haven't fixed the underlying problem of not wanting to work,
Don't
my
do this.
God.
that's not
This is like therapy.
Yes, this is
It's not
important.
gonna go away.
Underlying problem.
I actually need you to finish this thought.
Yeah, no, it's resonating with me as well.
Yeah.
So.
Commitment device on the commitment device. So it's the Stanley Cup on the Stanley Cup of our lives.
Exactly.
Commitment device after commitment device, you have to fix the underlying problem, which is
I don't want to do any work at all.
I mean, it's a common problem, right? I mean,
Yeah.
everyone suffers from this,
Yeah.
and this is something that, as we're talking about students, I think students could learn from this, but I personally procrastinate all the time, and I set little deadlines for myself on my Google Calendar,
Is that-
and they don't work because I can just blow right past them.
Yeah.
Now, it's the first time I ever heard the phrase commitment device.
Yes.
And I think
It's
I
a very
understand.
economist thing to
But
say.
can you tell us what is a commitment device?
It's something to try to force yourself to do the thing that you don't actually want to do. So you're committing
yeah.
yourself. It's supposed to be a self-imposed way for you to actually do the work.
Is there a
Of doing the
commitment
work.
device that you know of that works?
Yes.
No. After extensive research, there's very little I can do for
Okay.
you.
Okay, all right.
Do you use it a lot?
I definitely use it, and it is nice, and I like it. But is it worth, buying over just using your laptop? Probably not.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, so far, fascinating. I feel like I honestly am still processing what we learned about the procrastination and how the problem was me all along.
Yeah.
But let's move on to you, Paul. Paul, what was the last thing that you
Chris,
purchased?
throw it up there. Yeah!
Now, so just to be clear, Lauren is hydrating, Zach is working, and Paul, you are. This is not clear in the photo. This is quite a large pumpkin man.
That's right. He's tall. He's I would say he's
3
about as tall
feet.
as that table.
That's a quite large.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
For
When
inside or
you-
outside?
For outside.
When you sent me the picture, I was so glad he was tall. I felt like this is such a good thing to buy. Like, I just, love him.
Yeah.
And I feel like he's a great person. He has a good attitude. He looks like he's related to you.
He absolutely does.
It looks like a dating profile pic.
Wow, so this is a tall pumpkin man.
Yes.
That was some impulse.
Yeah.
What was going through your mind?
First time she hasn't had a response ready. Want to point that
You
out?
need to know what was going through your mind.
It was truly love at first sight. I saw that. I mean, I like to decorate for the holidays. I decorate for Halloween and Christmas. And so my wife and I have a bunch of decorations, obviously more for Christmas inside and outside the house. Halloween, we've accumulated some things over the years that we're finally getting rid of. We're like, you know what? We don't like these things. They got to go. And then I saw this guy, and I was like, guess what? There's room for this guy. And I will say, as a hidden bonus, I did not realize this
Bonus.
until he arrived. Is that, and I wish you could see. I don't know if there's other pictures.
No, we don't have more pictures.
When you turn him around, so like he's got one hand in his pocket, and then he's got his other hand like this, like hanging out. His other hand like casually out behind his back, and it's also orange.
Wow.
So yeah, I did not expect that. I didn't see that coming.
I have 2 questions. One, how much was it?
I think it was like $45.
Oh, I need that. So it's as much as my Stanley Cup.
It's all sold out.
What?
Because when
Wow.
I bought this a few months ago, and then when I was asked to provide my latest impulse buy, I went to look for the link, and all I got was eBay and Mercari and Poshmark,
You're so
and
lucky.
they're asking for $100 for it and everything, which is $100 probably would have been a deal breaker.
I'll give
I
you
think, for me.
$300.
We need that guy.
Okay, Alison, some thoughts. I feel like you have thoughts.
I have a lot of thoughts.
Yes.
Not all of them good. Okay, so I think what we have here is a problem of when we see something, the immediate benefits totally outweigh the future cost. And
This is a problem?
this is
It's
the
got up
impulse.
in value.
When you see something, you're like, oh, this is great. I have to have that. And then next Halloween or 2 Halloweens from now, you're like, I can't even imagine why I bought that, right? So you're having trouble imagining your future self in your present.
Let me say this, and this, I push back on all therapy. There are some things that have been in the family. They've remained in the family. Like, we have to have this guy. He's here every year. Mm-hmm. And then other things are like, you know what? These just didn't do it, and they have to go. They did not go the distance And I feel like this guy's got staying power.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is a member of the family.
Several
You put
things.
family in quotes. though.
He certainly, as Paul, as though he was a mafia don, did say the family.
Yeah. You can wonder. Did you ever have, or anybody know about growing up, those like geese that you could dress up?
Oh yes.
Is it like a Midwestern
Who are
thing?
you people?
I don't know if it's Midwest. Where are you from?
My dad is from the Midwest, so I think that's where I
and
saw
so
them.
these like stone geese, and then you could get like a raincoat for it. And like I almost got really into this during the pandemic. I was like, I gotta get one of those, and I gotta have one of those. But he could be like that. You could put a sheet on him and make him a ghost, like dress him up.
That's insane.
That's funny. If he's in a costume, that's funny.
Pick the one holiday where he's already.
Actually, the more outfit.
That is incredible to dress him up for Halloween.
You can put on Santa. That's what I think is funny. That's the levels, people. But then it's like, sure, at Christmas, put a Santa hat on this fucking guy. It's
I want to say it's become crystal clear to me that we could spend the entire rest of the show just discussing Pumpkin Man. But I do, for the sake, I honestly think that it is a mistake I'm making right now that we're moving on. But I think that we must.
I think
move
I
on
could
from
do a
Pumpkin.
whole series of papers based on.
Yes, certainly.
You're welcome to try.
The one before we move on, I do have to just say the one problem I can imagine is that it's not Halloween and there is a large pumpkin man stored somewhere in your house that startles you.
That's the thing I was thinking. The second I wanted it, I pictured it in my basement next to my decorations, and I got scared.
Yes,
so
terrifying.
Well, you'll all be happy to know I kept the box.
Okay. Fantastic.
That is good. You should
That's
make
a
it like a
rational decision.
casket.
Okay, well, someone online, someone on the live stream is asking, how does all of these three were online purchases? How does online shopping contribute to overbuying or impulse purchases compared to in-person shopping?
This one's easy. You click.
Yes.
Right? It's a click versus pulling out the actual cash or pulling out your credit card and seeing it line up in front of you. It's very easy, right? We have one. That's why they make Amazon. Would you like to just buy it now?
Yeah.
Go ahead, because it's easy to click, and the consequences come much later on your credit card
And you're not
bill when
going
we're all
anywhere.
sad.
It's like if you're in a store and you're looking at a thing, it's so much easier to walk. You're seeing it in 3 dimensions, and it's so much easier to walk away. But it's like you're just sitting on your couch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like the worst to me is Instagram, because there are I don't think I've ever bought something that I saw on Instagram that worked out. But I just keep going back and getting burned over and over again.
Yeah.
You're failing to learn.
I have a sense that your students are not taking your class for an easy A based on the amount that you've used the word failing. Well, since you are someone who professionally studies economics and is a professor of behavioral economics, how has it changed the way that you think about your own purchases? Do you not make
And
these
tie it
kinds of
into
purchases?
Zach failing something.
Yes.
Because I don't think we heard that word
Yeah.
I
directed at him.
fail all the time too.
Okay.
I've made many a purchase via Amazon, especially during the pandemic when we were home, and we were looking for some source of joy in dark times, and we could
You can
click.
lay into me.
We can click, and so I think as an economist, I realize I have the self-awareness that even though I study all of this and I know it intellectually, I fall prey to all the same traps that everybody else does, and even though I know it, it still happens.
What's the last thing you impulse purchased then?
These shoes.
Oh, nice.
And I'm
comfortable.
wearing them because the more times I wear them, the cheaper they become.
Yeah.
Okay. Incredible. Wow.
My Stanley Cup is free.
Someone also on the live stream is saying a great punk band name could be a commitment device, which I agree with. That's a good idea.
Totally.
What is a theory, an economic theory or a theory of behavioral economics that really sticks with your students or with you? Like what's something where when they learn it, it blows their mind?
I think what I just said, that they have studied this, and they've done all of the experiments that we've looked at, the biases that we're all prone to. They've done it in expert populations, so mathematicians, economists. They still fall for it. And I think the thing is that we have to have a little bit more self-awareness, and we do have to have more commitment devices, but the commitment devices have to come internally if they're going to work over time, and that's hard.
Yeah.
One of the things that you've studied and written a paper about is home sales. Can you tell us a little bit about what that research was?
Yes, so with home prices being, I don't know if you've noticed, they're expensive. This is LA, isn't it? People have been very upset about commissions that real estate agents get. They can get anywhere between 4 to 6% of the home sales price. And so there's a big question as to whether or not hiring a real estate agent to sell your home would actually be worth it for the sellers. And you'll not be shocked that hiring a professional to help you with a very large financial transaction actually does help. And you can get a higher price when you hire somebody else to do it rather than a do-it-yourself job.
Oh, yeah.
That makes sense. But I also feel like just browsing Zillow for fun, I see some ads that were clearly not written by a professional and like listing descriptions that were written by a maniac who lives in the house.
We call that the endowment effect.
Okay?
So whenever you
This one's real?
This one's real. This one's real. Although the Costco effect would be cool paper to write. I'll have to make a mental note. The endowment effect is when you own something like Pumpkin Man or your Stanley Cup or your Apple monitor actually does have value. Now that you own it, now that you own it, there's something you have a higher, what we call a higher willingness to accept. So if I were to offer you something for it, how much did you pay? I forgot.
$45.
Right. So now you would demand a much higher price if you were to
Absolutely,
sell
I
it.
would. Yes.
Because,
He turned down $300 in front of us.
because it's yours now and it's extra special to you,
Right.
and you're not going to give it up. So that's the endowment effect. So
That's-
with houses, everyone who owns a house, they're like, well, this is my house. It's super special and it's wonderful in all of these ways because I fixed it up or not, or even if I haven't, it's still really special because it's mine. And so they want to have a much higher price. So sellers need somebody, third party, not related to them, to say, hey, maybe your house isn't worth 5 times what you think it actually is.
Is
So
it called the endowment effect because we are endowing this thing with, okay.
Yes.
Or is it because everyone thinks they're well endowed?
Oh,
that.
yes. Great question.
Everyone thinks
Everyone
that.
thinks that. Everyone's always saying that.
Very economist term.
If anyone in the live audience has a question about something that has come up, you can come up to these microphones over here if you were to take a question now. But
I
also,
dare you.
If you
while
dare.
we, one moment, while we, before we come to you, you studied this, people selling their own house versus a realtor selling their own house. Did you ever see someone who's like freakishly good at selling their own house?
I've never seen that.
Okay, what about like a realtor who was horrendously bad?
In what sense?
Whatever sense you would consider bad. What, by your terms?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, because we're all human. We're all subject to emotions, and we shouldn't let emotions into a business transaction. Traditional economics says that never happens. Behavioral economics says it happens all the time, right? So when we get emotional, we're not making a rational decision. So we turn down offers that we don't like because the person that made them we hate.
Okay.
We're going to give up money for that when we shouldn't.
Can you say your name into the microphone?
Natalie.
Hi, Natalie.
Hi.
What's your question? Or
Well, I just wanted, like, the impulse buys are being presented as such a negative thing, but when I'm having a hard day and there's, like, a pack of wild berry Skittles, like, I'm like, thank God.
Yeah.
You know, my day is now better because of that impulse buy. I don't regret that. And if there's no name for the Pumpkin Man, can we, like, talk about, like, Gordon, you know, like...
oh, wow.
Gordon is really good.
Gordon's good.
With a U, obviously, yeah.
Well, in the Skittles situation, I would classify it as a need rather than a want.
Skittles
Wow.
are a need for me, yes.
Everybody's different, so Skittles are a need for you. If it's fulfilling a need that you have and it's serving a purpose, then maybe not as impulsive as you think.
Wow. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. A lot, I will say, Alison, a lot more generous with Natalie than you were
That was
Perfect little Natalie.
Natalie, that's not an impulse buy at all. That's a need, and you take care of yourself. Please, tell us your name.
My name is Mark Anthony.
Hi, Mark Anthony.
My question is, I've always been curious about this. Like, are people more likely to buy things from people that like look like them? You know what I mean? Like,
Ooh, great
are
question.
women more likely to buy from women, or black people more likely to buy from like a McDonald's black commercial? You know what I mean?
Oh, this is interesting. I haven't personally studied this, but I think in terms of the real estate, I think I've personally seen that people they would like to work with people who do remind them of themselves. So I think there have been studies where if you really want to impress, they've done this with interviews. So if you're on an interview and you mimic the gestures of the interviewer is more likely to like you because, I don't know. There you go. Turn into a roast.
Okay, this is a game we can play.
So, in that sense, people like other people that remind them of their favorite person, which is always ourselves.
Okay.
Wow, thank you.
Thank you. We're going to get these two other questions, and then we'll move on. Can you say your name, please?
Hi, I'm Ross.
Hi, Ross.
And I wonder, how much does our economy rely on irrational purchases? If we all were truly rational consumers, would it all come crashing to a halt?
In theory, no. Because that's the way that we would have a market, right? People still have needs, and they have wants that are not irrational. It's okay to have a want. It's okay to buy something impulsively if it's once in a while, right? If it's not bankrupting you, then there's still a market for goods and services. So no, it wouldn't fall apart completely. There are some people that would say it will fall apart if people spend all of their money and they don't have anything to spend after that. So being too impulsive might crash things. I mean, that's a wild theory, so don't tell any of the other economists.
It did seem like you had inside information, though, Ross.
No, I wasn't coming with stats or figures. I was
Okay. It seemed like you were about to be like, the economy is about to collapse. Let me tell you. Get this out on the live
I
stream.
have it right here.
It seems like a lot of, I don't know, even professions rely on people paying for things that don't give value. I don't know, to be controversial, like a psychic or something like.
Okay, well, very controversial. And
Sorry,
I don't
any
want to
psychics
predict.
in
I
the
don't want to
audience.
predict what's going to happen to you outside the show, but it's a psychic kicking your ass. Okay, terrible, honestly, terrible joke. Let's go move on to with these two questions, and we'll keep moving on.
I'm Frank Shindamo. I am actually a professor.
Okay.
Oh my God, are you an economist?
No,
Thank God.
but I'd like to point out that the only person on the stage who doesn't look like a student is Paul. He looks like a professor. My question is this: do richer or poorer people, on a sliding scale, let's say, do more impulse buying as a percentage of their income?
I don't know.
What's happening out there? It's like a little fairy having a great time.
I think it depends on the person, right? So if you have a lot of money, you can have a lot of money to do a lot of impulse buying. But if you don't have, your budget's not as large, you can still impulse buy, but on smaller purchases or on very large purchases, and that wouldn't be very good for you. So I think it's a mixed bag. I don't think there's any evidence that one particular demographic spends exceedingly more on impulse purchases than another demographic. It might just be the scale, right? So I can't buy a yacht on impulse. Some people can, and it's an impulse, and maybe they regret that later. But I don't think there's a trend either way that I'm aware of.
Thank you.
Okay, last one, and then we're going to keep going on.
Hi, I'm Tommy. I've known Chris since the 90s.
Hello.
Whoa!
This is
Tell us everything.
my friend from high school, Tommy. Hello, Tommy.
Yeah, so I sometimes...
Tommy, can you say into the microphone so the people online can
Into
hear?
the microphone?
Yes.
Wow, okay.
I can tell we've derailed already. It's only going down from here.
They didn't say how they knew each
Into
other.
the microphone?
What a wild idea.
Actually, Tommy, we've heard enough from you. Let's go.
Okay. I sometimes get the opposite, make the opposite of impulse buys, where I feel like, especially for like I'm a coffee weirdo, and I get really into coffee equipment, and I start like torturing myself of like, oh, which grinder should I get? Like this one is flat burrs, this one is cone burrs, this one has more retention, and this one has less. And I spend like weeks and weeks like torturing myself over like getting the exact right purchase, so I don't regret it in the future. And I feel like that's like an opposite impulse buy, where the purchasing experience is not fun.
I think okay, so this is rare. We have found him. This is Econ Man. This is a real thing. The Econ Man is a real thing in traditional economic theory, who does exactly this. I'm like speechless because I didn't think it existed. It was like
There he is.
Congratulations. Congratulations, Tommy. You've done it well. You have not failed.
All that. Honestly,
How dare you?
this is
Everyone fails except Econ Man. Okay.
also this definition of not failing involves a crippling anxiety mixed with perfectionism. So I don't know if that's really success.
In terms of traditional economics, this is what they theorize people would and should do.
Mm-hmm. Well,
Which is why behavioral economics came about as a field, because I didn't think anyone.
And as someone who knows Econ Man personally, I can tell you it's not working.
I just want to say, I came up here to be yelled at and told what to do, and I'm really shocked. This is gone.
Yeah. Okay. Please sit down. Okay. All right, so one of Alison's most famous studies is called Don't Put Me on the Spot, and it's all about the behavioral economics about those people who catch you on the sidewalk outside of the grocery store and then try and pressure you into making a charitable donation by saying like, well, don't you care about the whales or whatever it is, and they're making you feel bad if you don't donate. So, Alison, there is a term that you learned from British colleagues, I believe, for people who do that really aggressively, right?
Yes.
What is the term? Yeah.
Chuggers.
Okay. What is a chugger?
Can you guess? No.
They chug money.
Ooh, that's a good guess.
Ooh. Charity muggers.
Combined.
Combined. These are the people that come after you and they're like in your face and they're like, don't you want to save the whales? What about the children? So they get really into it and am I skipping ahead of?
No, you're not skipping ahead of anything. We're just talking about it. And it does seem like a very British term, though, chuggers.
They have good terms.
So how did you study what was going on with chuggers?
So this is something that preyed on my mind for a long time, where I was thinking to myself, it couldn't possibly be successful in long term, where people are accosting you on the street and asking for money for charity. So several studies later, we looked at this in a laboratory setting and online, and it turns out that people don't actually want to be harassed into giving money.
It took several studies to find that.
I did my own study on that.
This is science, so we had to take several studies to actually confirm what a lot of people would tell you on the street, which is that it doesn't actually work. So the mechanism is supposed to be that they come up to you, they make you feel guilty about something, and then they also prey, because this is a lot of in public situations, they prey on your social image and your self-image, that you want to be seen and perceived as a good person in front of other people, and you want to think of yourself as a good person as well. But we found that this has limits because people will just make up excuses to get out of the situation and still their social image and preserve their social image and their self-image.
And you found that even if people give in the moment, it's not like long term they don't stick with the cause, right?
Right.
Something
So
like
I can give you $5 and you'll go away, but I'm not going to maintain the relationship.
But it would be much more than that.
You're like, I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah, $5 is I'm going to stick right here.
Right? So you can do that, but then people will not follow up. So what we see in charitable giving is that people give millions and millions of dollars. Oh, and not just rich people either. There's a poor, rich connection there. But people give millions of dollars, but it's one-time donation. So the longer term, I'm going to keep giving over and over every year. It's not as prevalent as people thought it was.
Okay, well, we would like to follow up on your studies with a little research of our own in a game called I've Been Chugged. So, panelists, I'm going to ask you to each invent your own charitable cause, and then pretend that Alison is leaving the supermarket. And Alison, we'll say that this is your car, this chair. So you're going to be leaving the supermarket over there.
Over there.
And you have to get back to your car, and they are going to try and stop you one at a time with a donation to their cause, and then we will analyze the science behind their attempts.
Very interesting.
Okay, great. So Lauren, maybe
here.
you can go first. Come up with any cause of your own. And Alison, you're just trying to get back to your car, and Lauren is going to attempt to chug you.
Okay. I'm gonna chug you. Excuse me, hi. Looks like you have plenty of time to talk to me. I was just wondering if you'd like to make a donation. I'm doing a really important thing. You see this can right behind me? This is a donation bucket where I'm working to gain donations for pandas who need to get lunch for school.
Pandas.
And this is a really big issue in the wild, actually, in which they're finding there's not enough bamboo for pandas to have. So we're trying to create a school lunch system in which pandas get lunches every single day. I just need $5, and you know what? I'm just gonna block your way. Honestly, $5 make a huge difference. That's how much each bamboo shoot costs. So
Wow.
yeah,
I think we could. That's good. Great.
I could do that forever.
Yes. It was. Now I'm going to say.
I was like,
terrifying.
find it, pandas.
Well, rather than critique any part of Lauren's thing,
You
I want to say
can't.
you were failing at getting to the car.
I was failing at getting
You
to the
made
car.
direct eye contact. You did not. You did a little dance, but then you were really invested in.
Yeah.
How does it
staying
feel
there.
to fail?
Yeah.
Not my first time, okay?
So, what do you think about that? I mean, obviously she succeeded in. You
She
weren't able to get
succeeded.
past.
Because she was very friendly, right? So when people are smiling at us, especially women, are known to, when we're smiling, we want to feel polite. We don't want to feel like we're being rude in any way. So that's one thing that the chuggers rely on. Also, pandas, cute animals. I noticed you didn't choose rattlesnakes.
No. I never would.
So when it's something, a cause that other people might find cute, it's going to be harder for us to turn down.
Also, I felt like the request was really reasonable.
It was
$5
very
to buy one
reasonable.
bamboo shoot. I was like, that's a good
I
deal.
mean, it was a lunch program, so
Yeah.
she also went through instinctively, I might add, all of the metrics of efficiency for the charity, which is convincing to some people. You know, if I did want to give, I'd want to know how my
What it
money's going to
goes
be
to.
used.
I mean, considering you made that up in literally 1 second, it felt
Yeah.
like a fully fledged charity.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to go home and start it right now.
Yes, and you should. Okay, well, let's try this one. Zach, your turn. And I would say, even you can try and get to the car.
All right.
You can try and get...
Wow. Cold and starting for Chihuahuas. Oh wow. Allison. You
Heartless.
Didn't even ask. Are you okay?
A woman smiles and you're willing to talk for hours, but a man falls to his death and you step over his corpse to get into your car.
Honestly, that made so much sense to me, though. It's like, what's he trying to do here? Just gotta get away. Pretend you didn't see it.
Failure.
Yeah.
So your first mistake was not getting in my face. Okay, so
I can't believe that I refuse to believe, as an empathetic human being, that the mistake there was made on Zach's part. He didn't say a word. He injured himself and you stepped over his corpse.
that's the first problem. Is maybe he was looking for his keys.
Yeah.
What?
Maybe he didn't need my help.
Who
He
looks
needed to get down there
interfere?
really fast. So he had to just push himself. I feel like women, I mean, it's silly or whatever, but I do think that there is a thing as a woman where you're like, I'm less likely to trust this scenario, and I don't want to get down there with him and get involved in this.
Yes.
Well, there's a
absolutely
personal
fair.
safety aspect to it,
Yeah.
but I think the thing is that it allowed me, in my mind, to make up any sort of excuse to get out of the situation from where I had to give.
I gave you an opening by
You gave
falling
me
on the ground.
exactly. I mean, but it could go any way. Maybe you were trying to trick me.
Yeah.
Maybe you were trying to attack me and you tripped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly,
To be clear, I was not.
yes.
Are you sure? What was
We'll
your
never know.
character trying to do?
We also should be clear that in the 5 seconds after I stopped the scene, you were run over by her car. Yeah. So,
You did my driving. It's true.
Totally didn't care.
well, Allison, Paul,
This is
you have
going
your
well.
work cut out for you.
All right.
Hey, good luck.
All right.
Let's try it one more time.
Let's
Good
see.
luck, Paul.
Hey, thanks.
You got this.
Feeling more confident now.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, great blazer. I love those shoes.
Thanks, you too.
Listen, I'm not asking for any money. We're just looking for signatures. If you could sign this, we're trying to stop soliciting out in front of grocery stores.
I would love to sign it.
Would you? That would be great. That would be
Can
great.
you hold this?
Yeah. What?
Okay, and see?
What?
Check your $50,000.
Wow, that, you know what? A twist. First of all, masterful, a cause no one could say no to. But the fact that you had your own clipboard, a defensive clipboard, was impressive. So, I feel like we've learned a lot. What would you say we've learned?
I think it's really hard to turn people down. Well, first of all, when they're in your face physically, it's actually hard to turn people down.
Yes.
And when it's a cute cause, it's hard to turn down. When people give you room to excuse yourself, they are going to excuse themselves. If they don't actually want to give, you're not going to get a lot. You're going to get run over.
Okay, well, I was with you till the last two words. I do think, okay, I think that one of the many interesting parts of your finding was that, like, this works so short term, but in the long term, it doesn't. So what is something that, like, if they wanted to get you in on their cause forever, not in just like the one moment, or not to be trampled by your feet or their car, what's a way to get people in, like, for the long term? What actually works?
So appealing to their sense of altruism, so not the cheap tricks, kind of forcing people into it. So when you guilt somebody into doing something, you may be able to get them to do it short term, but if you haven't really changed their inner opinions. You have to work on giving them the information that they need to want to do something. And that's harder to do than the in-your-face guilt, which is why charity muggers are successful.
That makes sense. And now that you've all had the experience of trying to charity mug, do you have any questions or reflections on how that felt?
No. But I am curious to know, what is the success rate of these things? Because they persist in doing it.
Yeah.
So there's somebody that's presumably paying these people to go out in front of Trader Joe's and what is the level of success that allows them to continue? Because once I started thinking about that, I couldn't stop thinking about it. How it must be working to some degree.
It is, because otherwise they wouldn't do it. You're right. So it works in the short term. You can get a lot of people to give that way, and they might sign up. They'll give their email address or whatever, but then it just goes into the junk pile. So they're relying on a new and fresh set of donors.
They're just counting on the turnover.
They're counting on the turnover.
Right.
And it's incredibly frustrating for the people who are actually doing the chugging as well, because they're out there. It expends a lot of energy for them, and personally, a lot of people don't like it. So they get told off a lot. And I think especially a lot more now that it's not new to see these people in the mall or outside the Trader Joe's or wherever. So people are getting used to them, and that's also a problem for the charities, is that when you habituate to someone, you can just walk right past them. If you've seen them outside your store all the time, you get used to it. And so in the social image, the self-image, it no longer has the same effect on somebody that it used to. But they are very successful in the short term. They're just relying on the turnover.
But also I feel like there's an aspect to it that even if it's not, it feels scammy, right?
Yeah.
And so I think a lot of people are it raises a distrust in me
Exactly.
immediately. I just assume, like, this guy doesn't actually care about the planet.
No, he does. No, so that's what we found in the study, is that people feel like it's really intrusive upon them to have people try to manipulate their emotions. So people are aware of the fact that they've got the cute and cuddly. They're saying, "Oh, don't you want to save the children?" They know they're being manipulated, and also they know that their social image is being put at stake by these people, and basically that if you turn them down, you're some sort of a jerk in public, and people really hate that. They don't like that. So the lesson is you can't really force anybody to do something long term. You can't change their mind by doing these sort of manipulative tactics. You get them to change their behavior once, but not long term.
Also, I have to ask this. Why is it supermarkets? I understand that's where a lot of people are, but people don't want to be bothered. Like, they're clearly running errands. Like, that's the worst time, I feel.
I'm running errands, sir.
Yeah, well, to engage somebody, you're not like, they're like, I just feel like going to the supermarket. Like, you're there because you have to go. You know, like, so you're in the middle of doing a chore, essentially, The last thing you want is somebody saying, hey, can I have some of your time that you're already spending doing a thing that you would rather not be doing?
But they do it because it works. Because that's where a lot of people are.
They should go to bars.
Oh, wow. Imagine someone is like, hey, I noticed you across the bar.
Like, oh my God.
Do you care about ending child
Fuck
abuse?
you.
What about like churches? What if they went out in front of
That's
churches?
where they should go, because that's where
Because people want to look good. Yeah.
Well, they have their own charities, right? You're giving to the church.
Oh.
Sure.
Well, so we've talked about two of your studies. One of the activities that you do with your students that you told me about beforehand is you said that one of the popular activities you do is to look at some of these forces as they relate to social media, because that's where a lot of these behavioral economic forces and also people looking to get donations for charity come from these days too. So can you tell us what are some of the things that you do when you're looking at social media with your students?
So one of the so I also teach analytics, and as part of that, we do a lot of data mining with teaching them code. And shout out to Python. If my students are watching, please do your Python projects. Woo! Are the people code in Python?
Surely incredible that people applauded shout out to Python.
I mean, that's exciting. So one of the things we do is we mine posts from a social media platform whose name has recently changed, which I shan't mention. But we look at that to see what sentiment is behind different brands. So, for example, when Kanye West had his meltdown around, and we looked at...
You don't have to mince words with us.
Okay.
We're not. He's not here.
I don't want to be sued or anything. We looked at Adidas. He had a deal with Adidas, so we looked at Adidas pre and post Kanye. So that's something that the students like to do, is look at what happened with that. Did the sentiment around Adidas go up or down regarding
my shoes. I genuinely thought that was coming from someone not on stage. I was like, maybe he is here. Kanye is on the mic.
That'd be scary.
Sentiment went up.
But we looked at that and we found, I mean, this is confirmed by other studies as well, that actually a lot of negative tweets get a lot of attention. And that's something that's kind of depressing about society.
But so more people bought Adidas stuff?
I don't know if it actually translated into sales, but it certainly translated into a lot of attention, which theoretically shouldn't be bad for sales.
So we're gonna ask you to do some social media analysis of your own here. In this game, I'm gonna show two social media posts, and you have to guess which one performed better. And we're calling this one "Thank You, Social Media Intern." So to make this game a little more complicated, we're gonna focus on the newest and still most undefined of the social media apps, Threads. So I'm going to put up two threads that are put up by a brand, and you have to guess which thread threaded better. Okay, so the first thread is from Wheat Thins. The Roman Empire would have loved Wheat Thins. And then the next thread is from Carl's Jr. The Roman Empire would have loved Carl's Jr. Two social media brands desperately trying to jump on a trend a little too late.
What?
Do you think... Panelists, which one do you think performed better, Wheat Thins or Carl's Jr.?
They asked us.
No.
You all failed.
I do think Wheat Thins, just because I was influenced by the audience.
Okay. Lauren says Wheat Thins. Zach?
I also agree Wheat Thins.
Okay. And Paul?
I want it to be Wheat Thins, but I think it's Carl's Jr.
Okay. Let's find out. It was Wheat Thins. And also
Good
Carl's
for you,
Jr.
Wheat
was...
Thins.
And then Instagram wrote back.
Yes, Carl's Jr. was quote threading Instagram saying the Roman Empire would have loved DMing, which is also quote threading Ritz Crackers saying the Roman Empire would have loved Ritz Crackers.
I hate this.
Yes.
That's all awful, and also it doesn't make any sense. Why is it the Roman Empire would have loved? Or it's like the Roman Empire would have thought about Wheat Thins 5 times a week.
That's
That
exactly,
would have
yes.
made more sense because it's all...
But they all just gotta eat themselves.
Yes.
Yeah.
And honestly, you have a bright future ahead of you as social media manager for Wheat
Wheat
Thins.
Thins, Instagram, Threads, whatever it is.
Okay, so let's find out the next one. Let's do another one. Here's a thread from Slim Jim's. Slim Jim. Me.
God, come
okay,
on.
so this is someone absolutely losing their mind over at Slim Jim. And then here's one from Wendy's. And this is Wendy's. When the French toast sticks start speaking English, and it's Wendy.
That's the Pikachu, right?
Tripping balls, yeah. So which of these absolutely unhinged social media posts do you think performed better? Which of these do you think threaded better? Paul, we'll start with you this time.
I think Slim Jims.
You think Slim Jim?
Yeah.
Zach?
I'm gonna say Wendy's because I feel like they've had success as being like a weird online brand.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with Wendy's too because it's making me feel sick inside.
Okay, great. And audience, since you loved yelling last time, which one do you think? Just call it out. Okay. Wow, almost unanimous Wendy's. Let's find it out. It was Slim Jim.
Wow,
Yes.
good job, Paul.
Wow. Okay. You know what I did not expect when I was writing the script? One of the last things that I expected was the audience turning on us because of Slim Jim being the more popular thread. Yeah. Okay. And last one. Let's look, Alison,
Okay.
your employer, the University of San Diego. Let's look at two of their threads. This one is the mascot of the University of San Diego. Diego would like to remind everyone this National Beach Day that USD is just 5 miles away from Mission Beach, which makes it perfect for going to class and then catching a few waves. And it is him in a full matador costume, apparently surfing.
We're the Churreros.
Okay,
Wow.
in a full churrero costume. Is that correct?
Wow. Matador.
Matador, okay. Well, either way, not in a wetsuit or in a swimsuit.
Correct.
Okay? So that's one thread.
Is that
Our
what Saint Diego actually looked like?
You know better than me.
Well, I'm a professor. I have a PhD, and I say yes.
Okay, there we go. Let's look at the other one. Shout out to those who greet good morning in the afternoon. We've been on that time zone too. Sweat emoji, sun emoji.
What are you talking about? What? Delete the internet. I hate. What?
I couldn't agree with you more, Lauren. This also, I will say that is both, to me, absolutely incomprehensible and also the most San Diegan thread I can imagine. Which of those two do you think was the most successful thread of these two University of San Diego threads?
I bet it was the time zone one.
Okay. Zach?
I'm gonna have to say the Matador because I still don't understand the other one.
Okay.
I think it was the time zone because I'm starting to feel like pictures don't do as well as words.
Oh, interesting. That's some deep analysis.
Thank you so much.
Wow.
Let's find out. It was...
They got three.
There was a tie! There was a tie! There was a tie!
Now, I wish we could see, like, did they like it themselves?
Oh,
And
yes.
then-
Chris, was this you?
I liked it all, yes. I created 3 burner thread accounts. I like them both. Okay, so...
What could that reply have been?
What?
I pray that it was just someone saying, what is this? Okay, so, Alison, what would you say, do you have anything to say, first of all, about your employer?
No.
Okay. A wise choice, I think.
That's safe.
They're wonderful to work for.
So, what do you analyze when you're analyzing this with your students? What are the kinds of things that you would have pulled out of what we just did?
So we look at the context of pictures versus words was an excellent idea because she knows. Because people like pictures. So I would have
Oh, I
predicted.
said the opposite. But you're right. They do like them, and I do like that picture.
That's very good.
I love that picture.
So people like pictures, but people like perky things. I think one of the things that we've come across is that, so I think ChatGPT, anyone ChatGPT has heard of ChatGPT? Yeah? Whoa.
Love it.
Is a lot of these generative AI algorithms are trained on this type of media, so social media, which I find to be perplexing because it's, well, you know, how would you describe it? Intellectual?
What?
The content.
The content, I would
Yes.
describe it as stoned.
When you-
I just don't know why it's happening, and I think that it's gibberish. But yeah, I feel like I'm sure that so many of these are probably bots. I mean, but I do feel like all these corporations that are tweeting are always trying to like get in on something, and it's so sad feeling. And I just want them to go like, "We like our product," and just post that. Like I don't
Yeah.
want you to try to be funny and cute. You're wheat thins. You know?
Yes. You can just say we still sell wheat thins.
Yeah. They're really good.
Have you tried us with a slice of cheese?
Yeah.
They to continue to exist.
So it's no longer new.
an idea.
I think it's a thing.
Yeah.
With all the social media, it's not new anymore, and the cute factor is worn off. So I think that's one of the things that we talk about. I mean, I know that's one of the things we talk about. I think it's one of the things that's starting to happen trend-wise.
Well, we're coming towards the end of the show, so I want to get a few more of the live stream questions in. One person is saying, is it more successful when fundraisers are selling something like Girl Scout cookies, right? Because that seems like one where people like when they walk by a Girl Scout.
Absolutely. So if you have a yummy product to sell and you're claiming that it's also fundraising, it gets around a few different things, right? So it's not an impulse buy when you buy the Thin Mints. It is you're now helping the Girl Scouts with your 75 boxes.
How much
Girl
does
Scout
the once a year aspect of it play into it? Because it does make it seem like this is an event.
Scarcity.
Yeah, it's scarcity.
It's
You
Girl
can't-
Scouts cookie season.
Yeah,
you see
yeah,
all
yeah.
of the advertising come up, and you're like, wow, it is. It's fall again.
Yeah.
You know, or whatever. When do they sell them? In fall?
I think it's coming up.
Coming up.
Yeah.
So
I can
I'd
feel it in
check.
the air.
Oh, my knee's acting up.
Cookies are coming.
Right, so you're down doing something good, but you're getting a personal benefit out of
Yeah.
it. And that's the thing that I think a lot of fundraisers try to do when they advertise to you.
And then the McRib used it for evil.
Yes. Yes.
It was always back,
Yeah.
right?
It's always back.
Yeah.
It's always terrible.
But you have to have it.
Yeah.
And also, to your question of where do
No.
the charity things happen other than outside of a grocery store? Someone on the live stream has said that someone once came up to me at a science museum to ask for signatures, and it was very successful. So
Wow. That does seem like a good place.
absolutely, that's the audience, right? It's like you're in a science museum already, you're looking to learn, and they're like, "Would you like to sign something too?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Would
And
you
you
like
had
to help
time to
all the
kill.
animals that you saw on display
Yeah.
in the science museum?
Great.
Yeah.
I mean, if that was the cause, we're really in the right spot.
Hey, do you like those guys? What if they were alive?
I like that.
So, okay, so before we wrap up, we have talked a lot about your research, but I also think that we want to know more about you as a person, because you're not just a scientist, you're also a full human being. So,
Debatable.
we are going to get to know Alison a little bit more outside of her work in a game of two truths and a lie. So, which of these is true and which is the lie? Alison was the runner-up for Homecoming Queen. Alison paid part of her way through college with a surfing scholarship. Or Alison once sang a duet with the actor who played Jar Jar Binks.
Oh my god, I love these options.
Okay, so I would love for you to discuss amongst yourselves. What do you think? You're going to each choose, but what do you think is the lie amongst those three?
The one that I want to be the lie is the first one.
Because she actually was homecoming queen.
Yeah, because of that.
That's a really kind one to want to be the
And I
lie.
want her to have that crown.
I think it's a covert brag.
I want number 3 to be true because that's awesome. And Ahmed Best played Jar Jar Binks, and he's a very nice person, so it feels like this could happen, maybe at a karaoke bar or something.
Casual drop of deep Star Wars knowledge. Personal connection to Jar Jar.
Hard one
Yeah,
Star
yeah.
Wars knowledge.
It is a hard one. Alison did part of her way through college. That's interesting, but then it made me think of the thread you just showed, and I was like, too close. I don't know. There's no way you would have known he was going to show that, so I don't know. What do you guys think?
I think 2 and 3 are true.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's,
Oh.
yeah, I'm gonna agree with you.
Well, I do love the rule that only one, neither a mascot and no, it could never be true that a mascot and a professor both surfed at
Yeah.
the University of San Diego.
That's only for the mascot.
On scholarship.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so let's go down the line. Paul, which one are you going to say is the lie?
I'm going to say number 1 was the lie for my reason that I've stated.
Okay. Zach, what are you going to say?
I am, for variety, going to say number 2.
Great. And would you like to share any of the variety or no?
The variety is I chose a different one.
Okay. Great. And Lauren.
I'm actually going to screw you over and pick 2 as well.
Okay.
You chose the majority option. I think
I'm
I
regretting
guess
my choice now.
I've just never heard of a surfing scholarship. I believe maybe it could exist, but because I've never heard of it, I'm gonna go with it.
The more I think about it, the more I think it's not a thing. And then I have, in a word, failed.
Well, Alison, which one is the lie? The surfing scholarship is, in fact, a lie. Although, is a surfing scholarship a thing?
Audience?
Yes.
It is.
Oh, one
There are
very
cer-
passionate
there
yes.
are
Just
cer-
one surfer was like, yeah.
There are surf teams. I went to UC San Diego for undergrad and grad, and they had a surf team.
Oh, so there must be a surf
I
scholarship.
was not on it, but they do have a surf team. I don't know if they offer scholarships.
And you were runner-up for Homecoming Queen.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. It's true.
Who took the prize, and are they still your nemesis?
Yes. I know exactly who it is, and I.
Oh, I would imagine it's public.
Well,
right?
I know exactly who it
well,
is.
no, I mean, I've internet stalked them.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, in that case, I actually won't have you say their name. And you sang a duet with Ahmed Best.
Yep. So through this program, the National Academy of Sciences, Science and Entertainment Exchange, we had a writers' retreat. Ahmed Best was there, and we had all crazy hijinks and activities. And one of them, I got to sing a song with Jar Jar Binks.
That's
I think
so
if
cool.
Rick is in the audience, he has it on
What
video.
Jar Jar Binks.
What
What did you sing? Yeah.
So have you ever seen a show called The Greatest American Hero?
Yeah.
I have not.
Did you sing the theme song to The Greatest American Hero?
Believe it or not, we did sing the
Wow.
theme song.
Wow.
Oh, what is that? Is it like American Gladiators?
Do you know what? Some people might know it as the song that George put on his answering machine on
Exactly.
Simon. And he wrote his own
Believe it or
lyrics.
not,
George
I'm
is
walking
an
on
angel.
air.
Yeah.
Wow.
That was really good.
That'll be on my next Two Truths and a Lie.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So, how do you feel like? Do you feel like either of those? I mean, obviously the last one actually related to you being a scientist because that's why you got to do it. But do you think that being runner-up for Homecoming Queen at all influenced your work as a behavioral economist?
You gave me a big chip on my shoulder. That may have had no. It was always something. So I think when I went into academia and I looked on people's CVs, which is the academic name for resumes, people would list all of these activities that they got to do, and I always felt insufficient as a human being because I wasn't also an amateur ice dancer or these things. So I think in a way, runner-up was fine with me. I didn't need to become queen.
Yeah,
That's great.
But it was something fun to list. So it gave me a lot of confidence until I found out that it was Senora Olson, my teacher. The teachers got to nominate out of.
Oh my! I thought you said the teacher was the Homecoming Queen, and I was literally like that. Sucked the air out of my lungs.
What an
Senora
upset!
Olsen.
I am the Homecoming Queen.
Oh, that truly would have been a scandal to remember.
Wait,
Did the other teachers vote for what happened? What the teacher?
Yeah.
It was so I found out later that since we're on the topic, I found out later that teachers could nominate students who they thought were worthy in an effort to diversify the field, so it
Okay.
wasn't just all of the super popular kids.
Right.
And so I always wondered, it was something that always was on my mind, whether or not my teacher, Senora Olson, who said I should have become Homecoming Queen, I always thought in my mind, your friend there with the anxiety, I always thought,
Tommy's his name.
I was thinking about it, so.
I'm
something-
sure she did. Right? Because she was like, you should have won. Yeah. You're really invested in this. Yeah.
Okay, before, if anyone has any final questions, please come up and
Gone
we'll
off
take a
into
few.
weird territory.
It always does. Don't worry. What someone is asking on the live, since you started by being interested in altruism, how do you increase altruism? Okay, maybe it might not be possible.
No, so the
10
funny
seconds.
thing, the funny thing is, the more I studied altruism, the more I found a lot of selfishness. But then you find that these kind of like random things that people will do out of pure kindness or for somebody else, where they're not being paid for it, they're not going to get any benefit out of it. So it's in some happenstance you kind of have to find the random and look at that and figure out why they did it. So working backwards from the act. I think more people, one of the things that I have always theorized is that instead of trying to provoke it in someone artificially, look at why somebody made a decision and then work backwards what their motivation was.
That's really interesting. So it's almost like create the structural ways of increasing it rather than bringing it out from inside of them.
Yep.
Let's come up and say your name and then your question.
Into the microphone?
Yes, please.
I don't, is the mic on? Okay. My name is Cassandra. I am the fiance of Econ Man.
Oh!
Wow!
Is there a Mrs. Econ?
I guess
Tell me the econ line will survive.
Well, it's kind of a follow-up question about it.
If you're here to defend Mr. Econ, sit
Well,
down.
it's more the follow-up that he spent all these weeks looking at different grinders, like Conical, and then like 3 weeks into this, he like stormed into the bedroom and was like, I just accidentally pressed the button and spent $600 on a grinder, and I don't know if it was the right one. So I guess the question is, would that be a failure?
I've got news for you.
I also want to say, this is the first time we've ever done one of these shows that had a B story.
We're coming back every week, baby.
I've got bad news for you. There was nothing accidental about the purchase.
Yes.
Lock the doors.
So, wait, what was the question?
I think if I can paraphrase, the question behind the question was, how do I get $600 back?
No, it's fine. I just want him to know what he did.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
I think we've certainly accomplished that. Thank you so much. All right, please, come on up.
Hi, my name is Cadence. I'm
Hi,
a senior in high school, and a lot of my friends are making like the first huge financial decision of their life, like applying to colleges, seeing numbers and digits they've never dealt with before, like at all. Do you have any advice for them? Because it's a very emotional and overwhelming thing, like the applications and considering costs and financial aid and stuff like that.
Don't take a lot of student loans. That's number one, and that's a really serious one, especially for young people today and considering salaries. If you're considering a major, this is serious advice. The majors that make a lot of money are engineering, STEM, business majors, right? So those are things that you're going to get a value and a return on your money. Other than that, I would say you can take classes in any section that you want, in any field that you want. Take as many classes as you want. Be very careful with how you major and where you go to college, and watch the student loans. I mean, that's a really serious thing in terms of financial, because when you are in that decision, you think, oh, I'm going to go away to college. It's going to be great. And it's great for the 4 years you're there, and then you get the bill afterwards, and then that can become very terrifying. You have to pay back that big loan. So run the numbers. Be really careful about it. You want to follow Tommy's advice, and he did this for coffee makers. If he's doing that for his coffee machines, you should do that for your college decisions. And go to the colleges. Ask them for lists of where their graduates have gotten jobs. What salaries are they making?
Whoa.
Okay, now, Cadence, before you leave, you've
Really good advice.
you've gotten
I'm
great
really
advice
serious about
from a distinguished professor with a doctorate. Let's also get advice from our three professional comedians.
I would say, based on what we've heard tonight, if you can find a college that only is going to cost $600, that seems to be a reasonable price.
I would say don't major in English if you don't give a shit.
I sort of exploited a state-run program for a college that went bankrupt after.
So that was less advice and more a confession, I would say.
No, I went to school. I went to school.
Yeah.
Exploding was the wrong word. Yeah. Forget this.
All right, Cadence, do you think we helped with your life choices?
I'll find out, you know. 4 years, I'll get back to you. Yeah.
Good luck.
If there's ever a moment that will haunt me from my comedy career, it is that wonderful high school student saying, "We'll find out."
That was really messed up of us.
Please tell us your name.
Hi, I'm Emilio, and I'm really going back to the charity muggers things. I was really interested in what's the main demographic, or what people are more susceptible to actually being like caught in those kind of like occurrences.
This is a scam. I'm related to him.
Okay. I was going to say, really fantastic question, but you planted him.
No, this is a scam. He's trying to scam me.
Okay.
Repeat it one more time with the demographic.
How do I look less like the people that get caught up in those
So you want to look like a person with no money, which is a college student. So congrats, you already look like
Wow, this got heated all of a sudden. But that is interesting. If you want to like look, one thing that I found is that if I pretend to be on the phone, I do get approached less.
Really?
Like if I'm at Trader Joe's and I see the person outside while I'm in line.
Oh, you're on the phone.
I put up my phone and I go, yeah, no, I'm coming right now. But they can see that it's all the apps. Like they can see that. But I am doing that. And it
So
does
you're
help
busy.
a little bit.
So that's an excuse.
Looking like a busy person. yeah.
Looking like an excuse. You didn't hear them, so you're gonna be able to walk right past them because you have your excuse ready and prepared.
Mhm.
Right? You don't feel comfortable walking past them without that.
Absolutely not.
Right? So you're still falling for my social image is at stake. I need to have something to where I didn't even see them. I'm a really generous person, but I had no idea they were there. I'm so into my phone call.
You are saying an accurate interpretation of my mentality. Like I can't even tell if what you're saying is supposed to be bad because it is just what happens in my head.
Well, medical science is my term for it.
Emilio, do you feel like that answered your question?
Yeah.
Okay, great. I guess you know where to find her.
I just put the headphones on.
That'll end it right there.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, we are just about out of time, so let's check in on the score. It looks like
I didn't realize.
This is news.
It looks like
Fail.
Lauren. Unfortunately, it does look like Lauren has the most points, and Zach has failed with the least points. But the show is called Wrong Answers Only, so Zach, you have won by having the most wrong answers, and Lauren, you have lost by having too many questions. The only person who is the true loser is Paul by being in the middle.
That's right.
Do better or worse next time.
Happened in my family, happened here on stage.
And before we go, Allison, why should people who are in the audience and the people who are at home, why should they really care about this research?
So a lot of our decisions, a lot of the things that you do in life are being decided by people who do academic research like this. So economists out there, has anyone, I can't see anyone, but some of you must have signed, oh, there we go. Who's had a retirement plan? Who has a retirement plan?
Rob them!
Where's the chuggers? Bring the chuggers out. How many of you signed up for the retirement plan, the automatic, how many of you just used the automatic, and how many of you actually chose?
So you'll have to
So there's a
convey which
default.
one with your hands. left hand is automatic and right one is you chose.
Do something. How many of you did it by
Automatic.
default?
Yeah.
By default.
Automatic.
That's a decision that was made for you by a behavioral economist because people weren't saving enough in their retirement plan, so they decided that they didn't decide. It was based on studies that people don't pay attention to their employment paperwork. They'll just go with the default. So if you want to do something good for people, you want them to save, make the default the saving condition. And so that's what people do, and people are saving more. So it's those types of things where your lives are being affected by dorks with calculators.
And what is one thing that you hope everyone takes away from tonight's show?
That science is fun, and that it's funny as well.
Great. Well, that is what Allison, we can applaud that for sure. So, panelists, that is what Allison hopes that you will take away from tonight's show. What will you actually be taking away? Lauren, what will you be taking away?
I'm gonna take away a lot. I need that pumpkin guy. And yeah, it's making me think about the ads that I'm getting and stuff. I'm really struggling right now.
I've been struggling this whole time.
I think that's enough. That's
Okay,
a good
thank you
takeaway.
so much.
Zach, what are you going to take away?
I'm going to take away the concept of the thing that you said at the beginning that I already forgot the name of the concept, but when I bought the
Commitment device.
commitment device,
Commitment device.
I'm going to be a little more aware of that. And I'm
Commitment
going to also
device.
get a pumpkin.
Honestly, big winner tonight was a pumpkin man.
Yeah.
And Paul,
His name is Gordon.
His name is Gordon.
I guess I'm going to take away that I need to purchase a tiny sheet and cut 2 aisles.
Thank you so much to all three of you for playing. That is it for tonight. You can sign up for free tickets for future live tapings and access videos of every one of these shows online at labx.org. In the meantime, thank you so much to tonight's expert, Alison Sanchez. Thank you to our panelists, Lauren Lemkus, Zach Oyama, and Paula Tompkins. Thank you to everyone at the National Academy of Sciences and LabX, in particular, Carrie, Noir, and Ann. Thank you to the incredible staff here at Dynasty Typewriter. I am your host, Chris Duffy, and this has been Wrong Answers Only. Find out more about this show online at labx.org/wow. Have a great night. Bye. Bye, everyone.